Ted?
Well, Greg, some tough labor discussions on Labor Day weekend for a lot of school districts across the state, which still don't have an answer about whether they've come to an agreement with the unions, the teachers' unions that they've been negotiating with for months in some cases. As we head into the weekend, I just want to show you what some of the biggest school districts across Western Washington are doing as we head into the first day of school. These are some of the districts in our area that have reached an agreement. Kent, Everett, Federal Way, Olympia, Bellevue, Lake Washington, North Shore, and Edmonds. They're good to go, and the start of school is on time for these districts. Two huge school districts still do not have an agreement, and they are negotiating through the weekend. Seattle Public Schools and Tacoma Public Schools. Tacoma Public Schools told me that they will be heading back to the negotiating table tomorrow, and they have a meeting scheduled for Tuesday to start talking about strike authorization. That's if they do not reach a tentative agreement heading into the weekend. So a lot of uncertainty in these two districts, and we're still waiting to hear what might happen in the coming hours and days. There are some districts we're watching where there could be a strike in the coming days. They include, as we mentioned, Seattle Public Schools, Arlington, Puyallup, Tukwila, and Monroe. All of these districts, the unions there, have met, and they've said, hey, if we do not have a tentative labor agreement before the first day of school, we will go on strike. And of course, Seattle Public Schools, that would have a huge impact on thousands of families all throughout the area. The Seattle Public Schools put out a statement, this information for parents. They say, we have every reason to believe that the team will reach a tentative agreement this weekend and that school will begin on September 5th. They say if a strike seems likely or is called by the Seattle Education Association, the district will immediately alert families. They say if families don't hear from the district, it means that negotiations are continuing to progress. But the district there, kind of an optimistic tone when you talk to them. But negotiations continue. They will tomorrow and Sunday, in some cases late until the night, until they have some kind of agreement and an answer for all these parents. Greg?
All right, a lot going on, Ted. Thank you.